Okay, let's talk about the first English presentation I gave. I started with, "Hi, my name is Tom. Today I'm going to talk about Q3 sales numbers." And I watched two people open their laptops in the first 10 seconds.
Oh no, the laptop opening moment. That's the universal sign that you've lost them.
Right? And the worst part, I had good content. The numbers were interesting, but nobody made it past the intro.
And here's the thing. The first 30 seconds and the last 30 seconds are the parts your audience actually remembers. The middle gets blurry. So we're going to fix both ends today.
Welcome to Say It in English, the podcast that helps you speak better English at work, in meetings, and yes, in front of a room full of laptops ready to open.
I'm Lexi.
And I'm Tom. Today's episode is called How to Start and End a Presentation in English, confident phrases that stick with your audience.
And if you are someone who has to give presentations in English, whether you're at level A2, B1, or B2, this episode is for you. We're going to give you 6 real usable phrases, 3 for your opening, 3 for your closing.
6 phrases. That's it. No textbook stuff, just what actually works.
Exactly. All right, let's start with openings. Tom, do you want to show everyone what most people do? Give us the classic week opening.
Hi, my name is Tom. Today, I'm going to talk about Q3 sales numbers. First, I will talk about revenue. Then, I will talk about targets. And finally, I will give a conclusion. And scene.
I mean, it's not wrong. It's grammatically fine. But it's like reading a table of contents out loud. There's no energy, no reason for the audience to lean in.
It's technically a sentence. It's also technically a yawn.
Exactly. So what's missing is a hook, something that makes the audience think, okay, I need to listen to this. And the good news is, you don't need to be a comedian or a storyteller. You just need one good move at the start. So let's go through 3. Opening move number 1, the question hook. This is when you start your presentation with a question for the audience. Something like, how many of you have ever looked at a sales report and thought, wait, something here doesn't make sense? You're not asking for a long answer. You just want people to think, to react. Suddenly, they're involved.
So instead of, "Hi, I'm Tom. Today I will talk about Q3 numbers," I'd say something like, "How many of you have ever looked at a sales number and thought, this can't be right?"
Yes, and just like that, people are nodding, thinking back to a moment they had. You've connected with them before you even said one word about the data. The question does the work for you.
And for our listeners, the phrase to remember here is, how many of you have ever... You can finish it however you want. How many of you have ever struggled to explain a decision to your manager? How many of you have ever felt nervous before a meeting? It works for almost any topic.
Right, and it's a great phrase for B1 and B2 learners because the structure is simple. How many of you have ever plus a past participle? Done. You don't need to make it complicated.
Okay, move 2. What's next?
Opening move number 2, the surprising stat. This is when you open with a number that surprises people, something they didn't expect. Like last quarter, 70% of our customers said the same thing when we asked them what was missing. And you pause there. You don't rush. You let that number land.
70%. That's a big number. I want to know what they said.
Exactly. And that's the point. The stat creates a question in the audience's mind. They want to know more. So instead of opening with, today I will talk about Q3 numbers, you say something like, last quarter, our top sales region missed its target by just 2%, and the reason surprised everyone on the team.
Yeah, I want to know what that reason is now. And I didn't even care about sales data 10 seconds ago.
That's the magic. And here's a tip for our learners. The key phrase is last quarter or last year or recently, followed by a number or result. It tells a mini story in one sentence. The audience knows, okay, something happened. I need to find out what.
And even if you don't have a dramatic stat, like not everything is 70% of customers, you can use a smaller number and still make it work. Last month, 3 out of 5 team meetings ended without a clear decision. That's also surprising, right?
Yes, it doesn't have to be a dramatic statistic. It just has to be something that makes people go, oh, really? That's the reaction you're looking for.
Okay, move 3, let's go.
Opening move number 3, the bold statement. This one is for when you want to be a little more daring. You say something confident, maybe a little provocative, like, I'm going to challenge something we've all been assuming about our sales strategy. That's it. Short, direct, and suddenly the room is paying attention.
Okay, I like this one. It feels risky, but in a good way. Like you walk in and you already have confidence.
Right. And the phrase to memorize is, I'm going to challenge something we've all been assuming about, and then you add your topic, about how we onboard new clients, about how we measure team performance. It works in so many contexts.
I'm going to challenge something we've all been assuming about Q3 results, because the numbers on the slide are not telling the whole story.
See? Same content, completely different energy. Nobody is opening a laptop now.
Honestly, I would have stayed off my laptop for that one. And I wrote the presentation.
And for learners, let's just recap quickly. You now have 3 strong opening moves. 1, the question hook. How many of you have ever? 2, the surprising stat. Last quarter, X% of. 3, the bold statement. I'm going to challenge something we've all been assuming about.
Write those down, seriously, or pause and replay that bit. Those 3 phrases alone will change how you start every presentation. Okay, now let's flip it. Time for the closings.
Yes, and this is where I get to embarrass myself a little, because the week closing, Tom, you're going to judge me for this, but I used to end presentations exactly like this. Ready? And that's all I had to say. Any questions?
I mean, at least it's honest.
It's terrible. It just stops. There's no landing. Imagine a plane that just kind of runs out of runway. That's what that closing sounds like.
Okay, so I'll be the one fixing it this time. 3 closing moves. Let's do this. Closing move number 1, the clear call to action. This is when you tell your audience exactly what you want them to do next. Not any questions? Something more specific, like, here's what I'm asking you to do this week. Look at the 2 numbers on slide 4 and send me your thoughts by Friday.
Yes. And the important thing is you give them one thing to do. Not 5, not a list, one clear action. That's what makes it effective.
Right, and the phrase is, here's what I'm asking you to do this week, and then you say the one specific action. It works great because it sounds confident but also collaborative. You're not ordering people, you're asking. There's a difference.
Exactly. And for learners at B1 level, this is also a great phrase because here's what I'm asking you to do is a natural, professional way to make a request. It's polite, but it's clear. You can use it in emails too, by the way.
Good point. Okay, closing move number 2, the callback. This is one of my favorites, actually. The idea is simple. You go back to whatever you said at the very beginning. Your opening hook, you close with it. You bring it back. It feels complete.
It closes the loop.
Exactly. So if you opened with, how many of you have ever looked at a sales report and thought something doesn't add up? Then you close with something like, so next time you look at a sales report and something doesn't add up, now you know exactly what questions to ask. It's the same idea, but now they have the answer. The journey's complete.
I love this technique. It also helps your audience feel like they learned something because you came back to where they started and now it's different. They see it differently.
And it works with any of the 3 openings we talked about. If you started with a stat, come back to it. If you started with a bold statement, return to it at the end and show that you delivered on the challenge. The callback is flexible.
Right. And in terms of English level, the callback doesn't need any special advanced vocabulary. You're just reusing the same words from your opening, which actually makes it easier for non-native speakers because you've already practiced those sentences.
Smart. Okay, And the last one, closing move number 3, the one-line takeaway. This might be the most powerful of all of them and also the simplest. You finish your presentation with one sentence, just one, and you say, if you remember one thing from today, remember this. And then you say that sentence.
Ooh, I like that one. It puts all the pressure on one good sentence, but in a good way.
Right, and for our Q3 example, it might sound like, if you remember one thing from today, remember this. A number without context is just noise. That's the takeaway. Short, clear, memorable.
A number without context is just noise. I want to put that on a mug.
Maybe that's the merch idea for this podcast. But the point is, when you give people one clear thought at the very end, that is what they carry with them when they leave the room. Not the slides, not the graphs, that one sentence.
And the phrase to remember from today is, remember this. And learners, notice the word this at the end with a colon. It signals that something important is coming. It tells your audience, pay attention right now. This is the key message.
All right, quick recap before we wrap up. 3 closing moves. 1, the clear call to action. Here's what I'm asking you to do this week. 2, the callback. Return to your opening line and close the loop. 3, the one-line takeaway. If you remember one thing from today, remember this.
6 moves total, 3 for the beginning, 3 for the end. And that brings us to the practical tip for today, because I know what some of you might be thinking. Okay, but which one do I use?
Right, that's the question. 6 options is actually a lot if you're already nervous about the presentation itself.
So here's the tip, and it's simple. Pick one of each. You don't need all 6. You need one good opener and one good closer. That's it. Look at your presentation topic tonight and ask yourself, does this have a surprising number? Then use the stat. Is it something people feel strongly about? Use the question hook. Is it something that challenges the way things are done? Use the bold statement. Choose the one that fits. Then pair it with one closing move that feels natural to you.
The goal is not to memorize all of these and try to use every single phrase in one presentation. That's how you sound like a robot. The goal is to have options, so when you're preparing your next presentation, you have a toolkit. You reach in, you pick what fits, and you use it.
Exactly. And honestly, even native English speakers struggle with this. A strong opening and a clear closing are skills that professional presenters work on for years. So if you're a non-native speaker and you are putting this kind of effort in, that already puts you ahead of most people in the room.
Well said. And I'll add this. The first time I tried one of these moves, it felt a little strange, a little unnatural. Like, who am I to open with a bold statement? But then I did it, and the room responded, and I thought, oh, this is how it's supposed to feel.
That's the thing. Confidence in English, just like confidence in presenting, comes from doing it once and then doing it again. And slowly, it stops feeling like a performance and starts feeling like you.
All right, we have a question for you before we go, and we want to hear from you on this one. Which opening move do you think you'd use in your next presentation? The opening question, the surprising stat, or the bold statement? Drop it in the comments. We actually read them.
We do. And if this episode helped you, hit subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a new episode of Say It in English.
Every presentation is a chance to get better, and you're already doing the work by being here, so keep going.
Thanks so much for listening. See you in the next episode.
See you then.